Hi folks, I'm your host Charles Brunn, and this is Go-to-Market Hackers, the show where we go inside the minds of GTM engineers and revenue architects, creating systems that deliver winning outcomes. Now, before I turn to our awesome guest today, I'll share a little bit about myself. I'm a SaaS founder with over 10 years of experience leading go-to-market teams at various VC-backed companies. And what I always find fascinating is understanding how the best GTM teams are combining the tools and the processes to deliver outstanding results. And that's really what this podcast is about. It's about interviewing the revenue architects that are building these GTM processes to unlock outstanding growth. So today's guest is my friend and former colleague, Shir Guterman. Shir is a revenue operations leader at AppsFlyer. AppsFlyer is a leader in data analytics. So I met Shir back when we were both working at DataGen, a leader in synthetic data generation for training computer vision algorithms. And since those days when we were deep in the revenue and GTM operations together, she has gone on to join AppsFlyer, which is, again, a global company that she'll have more time to talk about. So Shia, thanks for joining us. I'm so excited to have you on the podcast. Obviously, you and I go way back, but maybe you can share a little bit with the audience about who you are, who's Shia, and then, of course, how you got into this role. Then maybe you can share a little bit about AppsFlyer, and then we'll dive into all the cool stuff you're doing there.
Perfect. So I'm happy to be here. I'm living in Israel, RevOps for the last 5-6 years. I'm here at AppsFlyer, which is a company in the EdTech environment. Basically, what we do, we work with the marketing apps and provide them all the information on their marketing budgets and campaign and help them to measure and make a decision on how to optimize their campaigns. It's called MMP. I'm working as a RevOps in EMEA LATAM region for the last year and a half. Before, we worked together at DataGen, which was synthetic data computer vision startup.
And fun times.
Yes. And there I was a director of business operation. And before I managed the Israeli market of Lime scooters. So
your whole career obsessed about operations and how to optimize large-scale systems.
100%.
And then, when we met at DataGen, it was focused around a lot of revenue operations and making sure we can scale the go-to-market. And now it sounds like you're doing some really exciting things at AppsFlyer. For me, AppsFlyer is like the least well-known unicorn. It's a huge company.
Huge
you have
company,
massive
very
impact,
successful company.
leader in the space, right? Super successful, leader in the category, and yet a lot of people don't know it. So I love to have the opportunity to interview you, to understand what you guys are doing internally, and to see how other people can learn from all the successes you've had. Because you're really a systems thinker, I thought it would be really great to have you on the show. So maybe what you can do again, is share a little bit more about how you think of executing go-to-market efforts within that RevOps role. And obviously our podcast is about tools, processes that allow you to leverage AI to scale efficiently. And AI, I think, has a lot of opportunities, but it can also make things quite messy sometimes. So you talked to me a little bit before about the process you have in mind and how to avoid some of the pitfalls of AI. So I would love to learn more. And of course, I'll jump in here and there as I have questions for clarification for the audience.
RevOps is such an important role in the go-to-market environment in SaaS B2B companies. I think that we really in such an important position and junction that we have the ability to bridge the gaps between the departments, between marketing, sales, CS, all other functions, and to really work cross-functionally and look at the entire journey on strategy, processes, tech stack, to make sure that things work, the handover, the processes, that everything is well defined, to support the go-to-market leaders in defining the strategy, the processes. And I'm really happy, really, really excited that they have the opportunity to really make such an important impact on AppsFlyer go-to-market. So, and it's definitely in those days related to AI because, I can say that at AppsFlyer, the CEO is really, and the entire leadership are really pushing for AI. So we are, as employees, we have sessions and courses, and they really want to make sure that all of us are enabled and can really leverage and use AI for repetitive day-to-day tasks. So I really think that the company really pushed for that. But one of the most important things is to know how to use it and to leverage it smartly in the right places, in the right timing.
And to me, what's also incredible is, again, AppsFlyer is over a decade old in terms of when it started, but it's still growing super fast and it's still cutting edge in so many of the motions you guys are going through. So I think you prepared some slides. I don't want to force you into sharing your slides, but definitely eager to see under the hood here.
100%. So I'll share my screen. And let's speak about AI.
Awesome.
Let's do it. So, as I said, AI doesn't replace your strategy. It can tell you what to do, but it can definitely, if you have one, solid one, it can amplify it. So, everybody speaks about AI, about the tools and the stuff that we need to implement. I assume that it's not about the tool. It's not about finding the right tools because today in the go-to-market, especially revenue operations tools, I don't want to say most, but many tools are doing the same. RevOps tool, people want to have one tool that really consolidate all the functionalities. And you can see enrichment tool that become engagement tool and also pipeline management tools. And so it's not about selecting the correct tool, but really understanding what is the right timing in which processes. And first of all, to make sure you have the ability to leverage AI and make your GTM stronger and your processes more efficient instead of creating confusion and a mess. Because if the foundation are not very solid and very clear, the AI can just generate chaos and mess. Just make the mistakes go faster and rather than have things more efficient. And I think that we have an amazing opportunity today to leverage AI and to take tasks that are difficult, chaotic, that involve many people, that are really manual.
Repetitive.
Yeah,
Yeah.
100%. And to take all these tasks, like for example, I will speak about it in a second, SDRs. They doing the same stuff every day, the same task. We have an amazing ability to empower them and really help them to focus on personalization, customization, and all the other stuff can be automated and AI based. But for that, we need to make sure that the process is very clear. What we're trying to achieve is also very clear. And then AI can generate the success and make things much more efficient, but without knowing where we're going and what we're trying to achieve. And it can just create a chaos, in my opinion.
Right. So can I maybe pause you on that? I agree. Totally agree with what you're saying. Who typically, like within an org like AppsFlyer, again, you guys are a global company, multiple regions. Who's responsible for setting that AI charter and defining the mission? And by the way, are you focused on the charter for go-to-market, or is it across different departments, including product? I'm just curious how an org like AppsFlyer thinks about that. How do you trickle that down to the different geos and the different go-to-market teams across those geos?
So all the AI initiative, most of them are global and coming from the global team. For example, I'm from the region, but I'm working closely with the global team. Today, we have a team called Business Operation. There is a task force that really work with all of the department, not only go-to-market department, but also finance and legal, because we can implement AI in all of the department, HR, PR, engineering, product. So they're working with all of the departments within the company and really understand what are the tasks that need to be AI based or to support them with AI. Now, some of the solution will come from tools and some of the solution will come from custom GPTs. So we don't need to buy tool for every problem or task. We can also use in-house tools that we have like GPT and Gemini. We can build custom GPTs and agents. So we're trying, first of all, to map all the areas that we can really leverage AI in those areas and then select the solution. And of course, to prioritize them. So currently we have a task force that is a global task force that really combines all the departments within the company and try to understand what are the areas we want to accelerate with AI and what is the solution to handle those challenges and tasks. So that's how we run it. For example, I'm reporting to the GRO, which is a global revenue operation organization, and naturally focused on sales, SDRs, more go-to-market areas. And then together we decide what are the priorities, what areas we want to accelerate, how we would leverage AI, and how we implement that in the region. Because at the end of the day, we're in the region, the RevOps in the region, we're the people on the ground. We need to take this strategy and these tools and these processes and really implement that in the field with the people and give this feedback mechanism to the GRO.
So that's super interesting. If I just say back what I understood, what you're saying is there's this global initiative that kind of trickles down, but then it sounds like you also have a lot of liberty to customize the go-to-market and RevOps for each geo. And then I'm assuming you can also maybe get inspiration from other RevOps leaders in the other geos to be basically mimic their implementations. But you have quite a bit of liberties despite having this kind of global initiative that's set up at the top.
Yes, and I can tell you even more than that. It's combined approach because it's totally fine that the strategy will come top down right? And will really reflect the management priorities. But then there's many initiatives that coming bottom up. For example, we will speak about it in a second, the SAM initiative that we run locally in EMEA LATAM. And then because of the success, now we're going to globalize the initiative and to run it globally. So it's definitely not only top down, but also bottom up, because we are the people on the ground. We work with the people. We understand the processes more deeply, to my understanding. And then we can really offer what things need to be done. And then the global takes it and globalize it. So definitely we work together. And this is the right approach to go, in my opinion.
Amazing.
Cool. So let's speak about areas that in AI can really make big impact. So all the areas of prospect research, right? So instead of doing that manually with LinkedIn and Zoom Info and SalesNav and all the tools that most of the SDR have, at least 2 to 3 enrichment tools, they also leverage AI. We can have one place. It can be either a tool or a GPT environment that really help to consolidate all the effort and combine the information into one, which is much more efficient for them. We will speak after that about the next steps with the SDRs, what happened after they're doing the research. Then we will also discuss the account planning. Currently, we have tons of customers, many people that are involved in the management of the customers. So we have CS and we have AM and we have AE and we have tons of functions. And we want to have one place where we can ask questions regarding the customer and get a very enriching answer that combines data from our platform, data from the web, Salesforce, Gong, to really have one place where you can question the system and get all the answers on last deals, on upsell indication, on really many stuff that today we need to go into so many processes and tools to try to investigate what is the customer status, what would be the next step we need to take with the customer. So really have one unified place where we can question stuff regarding the customer. Then also to automate the way we managing the pipeline. So today we have Gong, and I will discuss that in a second, that really help us to manage things much more efficiently in one place, leveraging AI and get clarity on the pipeline situation. It's super important for us. And then it's also related to forecasting, how we leverage AI to have much more accurate forecast and to meet our goal, how we qualify opportunities in much more unified way, how we build lists that reflect our priorities and strategies that the team can work with, list of accounts, target accounts, how we make it more efficient, how we use the AI to have personalization and customization emails. Currently, we really focus on the enterprise motion. And when you work on enterprise accounts, you need to make sure that you super customize, super personalize, that you have enough touch points. The quality is amazing. And there's so many ways to leverage AI in order to do that. And you really need to trust the tool in order to do it in the right way, because if it sounds generic, you lost one opportunity that you have most of the time. Many areas in the go-to-market, there's so much that we can discuss, but these are the most important stuff that we do. And it can really help us.
Can I maybe?
Yeah, sure.
I wanted to go back to a couple of things you talked about. One of the things you mentioned is something I even remember in our days at DataGen, with the source of truth. You know, especially with LLMs, there's so much data you can pull from many areas. Can you maybe speak about what is the source of truth? Historically, it's always been the CRM.
Yeah.
I know you've been talking about Gong a lot, and I know some teams are spending so much time in Gong. So how do you think about that? And do you think it's actually realistic to think of it as one place where there's a source of truth, or you just have a chatbot layer that picks up the data wherever it may sit, if that makes sense?
Yeah. It's such an important question, really, because if you would ask me like 3 years ago what I think, I will definitely tell you Salesforce, CRM, of course. All the information need to be synced in Salesforce. Everything should be there. But today things look a bit different. And I don't have one correct answer to that. Yes, today many teams are shifting to Gong. And also we work heavily with ChatGPT. I'll show you afterwards on the account planning project. Took one custom GPT and we connected the GPT to the database and all of the information that we have. And then a person can ask in free language questions and get answers. So
amazing.
We're still exploring. If you ask
Right.
I would say as RevOps CRM, yes, everything should be there.
Yeah,
From
totally.
those days in DataGen, but today we're still exploring, and sometimes Salesforce would be the correct answer, but sometimes
And in my experience, another quick question connected to that is just in terms of dashboards, for example. In my experience, even ChatGPT isn't really good at creating amazing charts and dashboards, and it's not dynamic. So folks still sit in their dashboards, whether it's in HubSpot or in their CRM or in other external tools. Is that something where you also use ChatGPT, or like where would the revenue leaders, where do they look for their dashboards and
Yeah.
their metrics?
And so we have BI infrastructure in
Right.
Apps. We have a Looker, and there are many dashboards. We also have dashboards in Salesforce. And we also now start leveraging Gong Analytics suite in order to also generate custom dashboards that are really
Makes
easy
sense.
to use. And to be honest, it's a complex question because ideally, you would like everyone have one place, one source of truth, one dashboard that supports everyone. But today, there are so many options, and it's
Right.
not only about having consolidated solution, but to decide what should you use in each,
Right.
for each question you have. Maybe one day we would have
In each
one
context.
environment that you can just question and get everything,
Totally.
free.
And the reason I'm asking is because that's also my experience. There's not one single source of truth. And oftentimes you have to go through, into
Yeah,
different tools to find the information you're looking for.
not
But
efficient.
yeah, makes sense. But it's also great. You're keeping your vendors on edge and you're not locked into either one.
Yes, makes sense. Yes, definitely.
Amazing.
Cool. So, as we said, AI is accelerator. It can't define your strategy. It can't define your process. If you have a good strategy, good process, and good data, meaning a good foundation, it will accelerate your success. But if not, it can accelerate mistakes. And we need to really understand when to leverage it, what is the right timing, in which processes, and what is the bare minimum of infrastructure that need to be in place in order to really integrate AI in those tasks. So we need to make sure that we have a strategy, we have a direction, we have a North Star, we know exactly where we want to go, what each department will do in this story and in this North Star, what would be the processes. This is the second phase. And really to go deeply, not only high level processes, but in SDR and sales handover, what should happen, how the inbound motion would look like, what's happened if enterprise SAM, which is strategic account, ask for a demo, who will handle the first meeting? Would it be the SDR or the AE? Like really design the system, design the processes, make sure that you understand what you want to do, and then reflect this strategy and processes in your system. So make sure that you have the system in place. You have data integrity. You have the necessary fields, automation, integration. All the data should be there. It shouldn't be perfect, by the way, but you need to have the vision. You need to have the foundation. You need to know what is the minimum condition in order to launch it. Because AI really takes what you have and use it. If you have good stuff, it will accelerate it. If you have chaos, it will rely on your chaos. And then you will get very confident answer to just the wrong question. So this is
That makes
something
sense.
that you need to take into consideration.
And can I ask you before you jump to the next slide, in terms of just even executing some of these more practical processes, who internally does this? And I'm asking the question because some of these tools are quite sophisticated. Like I've been learning a lot of these tools, but I'm not a pro GTM automation expert. I've been learning a lot, but it really takes, in my opinion, some specialization.
Mhm.
So do you even have GTM engineers or this concept within your org? Do you have like folks that are more technical that are able to work on these alongside you to be able to deploy them? Are you the one doing it? I'm just curious how that works internally.
Yeah, such a big company like AppsFlyer, you will definitely have very, very strong and big Salesforce team and Biz Apps team. The people that are
Right.
more technical, that work on tools that serve that go to market, like CRM, marketing CRM, enrichment tool, engagement tool. All the tools are most of the time implemented by
Sure.
Salesforce team. When I say Salesforce, I mean the team, the technical team.
Sure.
But yes, definitely we have the technical people in place that's really responsible to implement those tools and make sure everything is smooth. But from the business perspective, we have the RevOps. It can be GRO, which is the global revenue operation, but
Sure.
it can also be the local teams that really help to define what's needed, how we should use these tools and implement them correctly, that they will reflect the business reality and the business need correctly. Because if you don't have the context, the business context and the strategy in mind, and you just do the technical stuff, it won't be good. You need to have both. So you
Makes sense. And just to clarify, because you said you had the GROs and then the local kind of RevOps or business operations, but is also the technical side of the GTM org, is it also global, or do you have also some local technical folks so you can maybe just try things local? Like, I'm just curious how those
So
two work
definitely.
together.
Also in the GRO and in the local teams, we have people that are more technical. In my team, there's someone that is much more focused on tech stack. I really work together with the GRO. And also in the GRO, we have someone leading the sales tech stack domain. So definitely.
Makes sense.
Even though all of
Okay,
us
makes sense.
are technical in some perspective, all of us can do that.
For sure.
But yeah, we have expertise within the teams.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
I mean, especially when you're integrating so many complex systems and you have BI tools overlapping that,
You need
and you
to
have,
know the system.
you know,
Yeah, definitely.
there's also a ton of data flowing through all these different tools and different parts of the organization. So it's not easy for a company like AppsFlyer. How many employees are you globally? I don't want to put you on the spot here, but like roughly.
Say 1,500.
Okay, cool.
No, it's a big company.
Yeah,
It's
a big
The
company.
way we grew is really with 3 separate regions. And now what we're trying to do is really we have everyone, sitting together with unified strategy, unified processes, unified go-to-market tools. It's complex, but we're getting there.
Of course.
It's a process.
Right.
And
Sounds like you're getting there fast. It's exciting.
I hope so. Cool. So let's take one case study. I want to speak about our qualification framework. Up until a year and a half ago, first of all, we have at AppsFlyer 3 different regions. Now we have 4. Back then we had 3, EMEA LATAM, APAC, and North America. And each region had his sales org, and they have separate and different opportunity qualification methods. Some of them work with band, some of them work with MEDDPICC, some of them, like we had different way to qualify the opportunity. In the handover between SDR and AE, we want to make sure that only qualified opportunities are, considered and evaluated to the forecast. And we want to make sure that we have one unified way to qualify these opportunities. And not like we want to make sure that qualified opportunity in APAC is equal to qualified opportunities in North America. So first of all, we had a strategy. We wanted to make sure that all the company, no matter where are you based, you're going to have exactly the same methodology. That was the strategy. That was the intention. Then we had to decide which framework we will use. So we chose MEDDPICC, which is a way to qualify the opportunity. Each letter stands for different metrics. It's for a metric, if I'm not mistaken, E, economic buyer, D, decision process, decision metric, paperwork, authority, and competition, champion and competition. And we decided on the way we make sure that the team is enabled. So everyone is aligned, understand the methodology. We had an enablement session and courses that the sales org and the SDR org had to take. And we really made an alignment across the entire company on how we qualified opportunities and how we can make sure that the pipeline is qualified and good and reflect reality. And then,
quick clarifying question. In terms of AppsFlyer, do you position yourself, because I feel like you go from like mid-market to enterprise, is that accurate?
yes, definitely.
And then is there also a PLG motion? Like, is there a version of the tool you can start using on your own, or is it only
Yes, but the main focus is enterprise.
enterprise? Got
Definitely
it.
on the digital transformation space where we are not there yet because all the big banks, all the big brands that are not really user acquisition led apps, think about your bank, right? You have an app, but they're
Sure.
not trying to make people download the app. They're more focused on retargeting and make sure that you use the app and maybe sell your stuff through the app, but they're not really advanced in measurement and all those areas. So there is a big opportunity in the digital transformation environment for AppsFlyer, and we definitely want to be there. These are great customers that really fit our ICP. And we do have a PLG motion, but the focus is enterprise.
Is enterprise. Makes sense.
And therefore, we
Thanks
want
for
to make sure
clarifying.
that the pipeline is qualified and we can count on it when we're doing forecast, which the forecast, we also made an amazing progress on the forecast method that we have, and MEDDPICC is part of it because once you know how to qualify the opportunities and you do it equally across the company, the focus will look different because you will know that you can
Makes sense.
count on the numbers. So after we made this alignment, like the behavior alignment between the people and make sure that they are enabled, we make sure that the fields and the integration are reflected in Salesforce. So all the infrastructure for them to qualify the opportunity is there. Everything is really aligned, clear, and Then we start asking them to really use these fields manually, no AI, just use it, try the process, do it yourself. This is mandatory. Once the process is really implemented, we have the strategy, the team is enabled, they know what they need to do, and they're doing that manually, then you can start think, okay, now they understand what to do. We have everything in place. Let's see how we accelerate the manual work and the tasks that they're doing every day. Therefore, we implemented Gong. We always had Gong, but we never use it for pipeline management.
In terms of doing things manually, it wasn't clear to me which part is manual because you aligned on MEDDPICC as a methodology. Great. So that's manual, I guess, in terms of the sales process, in terms of the reps asking the
They
questions.
had to really
and then,
fill out fields, MEDDPICC fields, each opportunity.
right.
We had,
So that's what you mean,
yeah,
manual. Okay.
they had to
Okay.
really add
Got it.
information manually. No AI support, nothing.
Got it. Got it.
Yeah.
But because in the previous slide, you also had something about AI enrichment. So that was automatic. You layer on top of that AI enrichment, and maybe that's what you're talking about here with
No,
MEDDPICC?
there is no
Like in
enrichment
terms of
factor
Gong?
here. You're just adding
Okay, got it.
adding the MEDDPICC fields. They had to work with MEDDPICC fields, and now we want
Okay,
to
got it.
make sure that we're doing that in a better way and much more efficient way. So we never
Got it.
used Gong for that aspect. Most of the companies know Gong for coaching, call
Right.
recording, but now they have other functionalities that can really support pipeline management practices. And one of them is the MEDDPICC. You can see here the MEDDPICC fields indication if the MEDDPICC was validated by the manager, if the MEDDPICC was manually added by the salesperson, but also you can see here the small star that the AI identified MEDDPICC information that can be added. So here I just hide the text, but the AI can see here on the E letter that the Gong AI can surface something and offer the information. So instead of writing the economic buyer information and do everything manually, you don't have to fully use AI, but you can really, AI can surface information. And you can also here see, you don't see it here in the picture, but you can also see the sources. So why the AI decided that this is the economic buyer information. And once you see all the information, you can automatically add it to Salesforce with clicking here. And then you can also tweak it so you can change it. You don't have to rely on AI in 100% of the time, but you can use it to surface the information. And the information is surfaced from all of the sources, from Salesforce, from Gong conversations, for email. So you get much more enriched information faster. And then if you decide to tweak it and to change it, it's your decision, but all the information is just surfaced much more efficiently.
So basically, in terms of what you're doing here, what you're saying is, so they still ask all the questions following the MEDDPICC process. Great. And then after the call, Gong will automatically surface and kind of like where I saw that little star. It's almost like, hey, check, you actually did a good job here. You asked about economic buyer,
Exactly.
about this and that. But there's still a human in the loop. That sales rep can still go in, edit it before hitting save, and then it's pushed to Salesforce. Is that accurate?
This is exactly right. And listen to even what you said. You did a good job. You asked the right question. And therefore, the
Right.
AI could generate the information for you. So if you don't know to ask the right question, if you don't have the strategy in place, if you don't understand the process, if you're not enabled, AI won't really give you the correct answers. So this is like the foundation we spoke about. If they won't ask the correct question, you won't have the information surfaced.
In terms of the setup of this, is this a heavy lift to be able to set this up in Gong? I haven't used Gong in a while. There's so many now
Not at all.
recorders.
No, not at all. It's not complicated at all. Really, there's the heavy
Okay, great.
lifting, the initial heavy lifting of connecting the tool, make sure that it's
Sure.
the correct field connect to to Salesforce, but
Right.
plug and play.
Amazing. So all the different MEDDPICC fields, you don't need to train any type of model for them to recognize the different.
No.
Okay, amazing.
Yeah,
That's great. That's awesome.
This is part of the package that we have.
Makes sense.
So, and we're doing exactly the same thing with Gong on next step. So we spoke about it before our call. As VP sales, you know how annoying it can be that you see on the opportunity next step is the customer needs to sign the contract next week. And then it's there forever. You don't understand what next week.
Yeah.
And the next step for some of the AEs or the AMs, the data will be very clear and very thorough. For the others, will be
lighter.
full.
Yeah, exactly.
It basically does here is surface the next step based on conversation,
Amazing.
based on emails, based on other parameters. And really you see here the small error, it help you also to understand the sources, why this is the
Totally.
suggestion. And then you can make a decision to add it to your next step. Everything is synced automatically to Salesforce, and you see here the last time step, but you see the entire history. So you see the evolvement
Amazing.
deals. And this is what really makes.
And can I,
Yeah.
again, you're pushing to Salesforce the next steps automatically. Do you go even one step further? Because once you have an understanding of the next steps, can you maybe, I don't know, recommend changing the close date, updating specific things, or do you not go that far?
We don't go that far with AI, but it definitely helps the manager to understand the current situation of the deal. So if you see that
Right.
it's not going to happen, and if you see the close date that does not align with the next step information, you can take actions. But now you give me.
Makes sense. So the next pipeline review, that A is going to update the number or the, yeah, makes sense.
Yeah. So it's
Awesome.
definitely a very good use of AI. Now, again, at AppsFlyer, we can also build those stuff. And some of the employees before we implemented Gong did exactly that in ChatGPT. So we feed ChatGPT, custom GPT with MEDDPICC information. Then we took the transcript from Gong, parsed it, and added to the GPT. And then the GPT can surface the MEDDPICC fields for you, and you add them to Salesforce. This is exactly the motion RevOps should do, to see the need to automate MEDDPICC and to make sure that the MEDDPICC is in a high quality according to the playbook and relies on multiple data sources. But then you need to make a decision, what tool you're going to use. Are you going to use the GPT and really leverage in build, or are you going to buy something that it's already in place? So this is also important to say when you speak about AI, the build or buy discussion. Some of the stuff you want to build, some of the stuff you want to buy. And this is one of the roles in RevOps, basically helping to make this decision and to really have this recommendation. What should we do for each challenge that we have? Build, buy, develop something.
And I also assume that you can't just buy the tool you want and then another geo buys a different tool. You have to have some consistent.
Ideally, no.
Right?
So, no, geos cannot buy today. No, it's done in a unified way, and that's how it should be. 100%. Sometimes we have this misalignment with other departments. So CS can buy tool that sales maybe can leverage, but they don't leverage because we don't have one go-to-market org that see the entire funnel. Like we had a data gen. It's much easier. When you have small company, you can really monitor the entire go-to-market. So I could really control marketing tech stack, CS tech stack, and sales tech stack all together and really understand the overlaps. In big organization, it's much more difficult, but this is the goal, to have one unified go-to-market ops that's really monitoring the entire journey and make sure that we don't have overlap. So if I have Gong can be used also for CS. They don't need to have separate tool for call recording, coaching, management of the account. This is something that with Gong, you can question the account and the opportunities. So you can use AI and really ask questions. It's really good for management. What is the current situation of the deal? What is the customer health score? And Gong will take all the data sources that it really integrated to and surface a very thorough answer. So I really recommend to other RevOps to explore that. For pipeline management, account management, it's really good. Another thing is our SAM list. Just because we're going to focus on mostly on the enterprise motion, super important for us to understand who is the target audience, but really to have a limited and solid list of targeted account. We call it SAM list. It shouldn't be many. It should be something that we can handle within 1 year with the current workforce that we have. And to make sure that we can identify the most strategic and relevant companies for us. And this is where the strategy comes in. So it's not only defining the ICP, but defining now when we have so much knowledge, we can monitor specific criteria that indicate the company is a good fit, like how many downloads the app has, store revenue, like the App Store revenue, growth patterns, verticals, SDK, MMP. We have our own vertical parameters that really fit the ad tech environment. And we have all the data sources, and we have all the indicators, and we have weighted score, and we have the understanding what good stands for. And this is something that we developed through the years. This scoring mechanism that help us surface the most important and strategic companies to go after. This is the North Star of the go-to-market. The entire go-to motion is supposed to be relying on that. All the functions should be aligned and really push to unlock this potential. And this process is done manually, meaning we need to take all the data from Sensor Tower, Data AI, Crunchbase, information from Salesforce, information from our HQ platform, all the information, put it in Google Sheet, apply all the scoring mechanism, the weight. and it's not live, right? Because once you download the data, it's
Mhm.
there, but then tomorrow the app will grow in 200%. You won't be able to recognize that and prioritize the list and surface more accounts, because this is a manual process that is done twice a year, once a year, and then you just miss. You miss a lot. So what we're gonna do, and this is, by the way, initiative that came from EMEA LATAM. This is something that we ran in EMEA LATAM
Nice.
years, and it works amazingly. It really focuses all the functions around one goal. And when we have one unified list, we can run ABX campaign. We can make sure that the SDR focus on these accounts, that partnership development teams do exactly the same, that we all aligned all together.
I have a bunch of questions. It's
Yeah.
super interesting. First of all, if I say back what I understood so that, I make sure that I understand, maybe it's clear for the audience.
Mhm.
What you're saying is the old way to do this, when you had your target accounts or your SAM, you have a list based on specific criteria of the accounts you guys are going after. And you're saying, well, that doesn't make sense, which I agree with, because it's not dynamic. And there's a lot of things changing constantly. What you're saying is you made it dynamic through AI, meaning all these parameters are constantly kind of scouring the web for different signals and then re-ranking the different target accounts or SAMs, right? Is that correct? And then so it's
Yeah,
basically
but this is what
fresher.
we're gonna do. Yes, this
Oh, okay, got it.
we're gonna implement that in the next few weeks. But we have the
Amazing.
strategy in place. We have the strategy in place. We have the methodology. We have the process. We know the parameters. We know the scoring model, the weighted score. We have the recipe, right?
Amazing.
And
Amazing.
now we're gonna use and leverage Clay to do this work and to automate that, to make it faster, to make it dynamic, live, and really leverage the entire methodology that came from EMEA LATAM, and now we're going to do it on a global level to globalize
Amazing.
it.
I can imagine other kind of downstream impacts. Think about it this way. Your AEs likely have 50, 60, 100 target accounts, however many based on the size of the accounts.
Yeah, a couple of hundred per rep.
Okay. What you're telling me, how does that impact when they're like, let's say I own whatever, Coca-Cola or Sony Music Entertainment, and suddenly there's a re-ranking, they're shot out because they're no longer fit the criteria and they're replaced by a new one. How do you guys deal with that? Or am I thinking about it the wrong way?
You're not thinking about it in the wrong way. We have many, like SDR can reach out to me. Oh, I had it in my previous year list. Now why I don't have it anymore? But as long as you have the justification and you have the logic in place and you can explain why this account is not qualified anymore. By the way, Coca-Cola will always be qualified. Because Coca-Cola,
Okay, fair.
but so the issues and the clashes are not regarding these companies, because these companies are good,
Right.
right?
That makes sense.
All the
Maybe they're actually on the ones that are borderline.
Exactly. But as long as you have
right, that makes sense.
just methodology, the team is aligned. Because if you don't have the answer in place and then it's just random decision that you make towards like which account should be added.
I totally understand. But there needs to be some rules of engagement. What I mean is, let's say an AE is engaging with a specific account and he's going back and forth over email. They're like, okay, I'll be back from mat leave next month. Let's get back in touch so we can schedule a meeting then. And then suddenly that account becomes pushed out and the new account
it doesn't
becomes
happen this way. This is a list of accounts that we start the year with, and it's not like we're changing it live constantly. It's not that. We decide what is the target audience, what is the list in the beginning of the year, and then we can add and surface more throughout the year, but we can also remove accounts in cases where we get feedback from the ground. So we thought, because think about it, the list creation, it's top-down approach based on data, but then we have the people on the ground that really work with the account. And then the SDR can see, or the AE see that the company was acquired, or this company is a subsidiary of contracted account that we have. So we can remove these accounts from the list. We do it in a dynamic way, but it's not like we just removes,
Right. That's a challenge. There's the human component of this, which makes full automation a little bit chaotic, if I had to imagine
100%. I totally agree with you. The clarity is important, especially for salespeople, that the comp supposed to be rely on that. The clarity is important. Each of them need to know in advance what is their book of business. Super important. We don't play with compensation and book of business. We know how sensitive you are. Right?
Love it. Yeah. Definitely.
Cool.
You can easily create revolutions if you change comp packages and book of business.
I know, because at the beginning, when we start working with the SAM initiative, we didn't compensate the team on SAM opportunities or versus non-SAM opportunities. And now we have a spiff in place for SAM, and now suddenly everyone is just generating SAM. So
Amazing.
This is the way.
Sounds like it's working well.
This is the way to shift people's behaviors, and as long as it works, it's amazing. Because the comp should be aligned with the company goal and strategies. This is the way to go, in my opinion.
So it sounds like this is an initiative that you guys have been leading, and you haven't fully launched it yet, but it's starting to show good signals.
Yes.
Are there cases where AI
manual process, but now
Nice.
this is the time to integrate AI and really make things much more accurate, dynamic, live, fast. Yeah.
Amazing.
So,
And so are there cases where AI can lead to, you'll get into maybe how you set this up, and then I'm curious to get.
Yeah, just in high level, we're going to leverage Clay that will help us discover more accounts, prioritize the current account, enrich inbound leads of same account that will come in. They will be enriched automatically, but also existing contacts and leads will be enriched based on changes, job changes, founding round, like tons of information that, important for us. We have also the ability to activate these accounts, really leverage AI and Clay in order to generate the messaging that would be personalized and customized, and also send it automatically. We're still leveraging it. For me specifically, it's very important to use it very carefully because, maybe we can automate everything and we will have all the cycle, with AI, but just because it's SAM account, enterprise account, much more, important account, we need to make sure that we use it carefully, that we leverage AI up to the point it's, super important. Now, exactly like you mentioned, we have other areas where AI, even if it's good and the configuration is great, can really make things much more challenging. So I give you an example from AppsFlyer. We have an account planning workspace, a GPT, custom GPT, which is amazing. It's connected to all the data sources, to Athena, to our database Athena, to Gong, Salesforce, platform, HQ platform, to the web, really data AI, enrichment tool, everything is there, everything is connected. And the AM or the customer success can really raise question regarding their account, and even try to create. We work very hard towards account planning. We want to make sure that the CS and sell work together in collaboration on defining the account planning, the strategy for the entire year for the existing account. And the process, basically, what we want to do is to have defined EBDO with the customer, meaning executive business desired outcome, what the high level goal that the customer want to achieve. It shouldn't be not necessarily be related to our product. So the customer want to expand to US, not really related to AppsFlyer, but this is the high level goals. This is something that the AM is responsible for. Then we have the OBDO, the operational business desired outcome, that really are the metrics and all the operational stuff that we need to address in order to fulfill the EBDO. And then when we have EBDO in place and OBDO in place, we can generate the plan. But the problem is that the EBDO process is not fully implemented from the behavior and enablement perspective, meaning that some of the AMs are not sure what EBDO stands for, how to form it, how to use data and extract data in order to have accurate EBDO per vertical, per customer, per geo. And if it's not there from the understanding and strategic perspective, and they are not documenting that in Salesforce, you can really generate mistake. Because, for example, let's take a customer that his EBDO is to save costs. They want to really improve their P&L, not related to us. They want to save costs, okay? But it's not documented in Salesforce. And the AM didn't really surface and didn't understand that this is the customer goal. Then if you ask the AI, the custom GPT, what should be the plan for the customer for 2026, it will offer to increase the price in 30% and offer him to buy other asset, while the customer want to save cost. So if the foundation and the process and the data is not there, you can really make difficult mistakes to get a wrong recommendation that can really damage your relationship with the customer. And instead of having advisor, use the GTM as an advisor that understand the context and really surface for you the next step that you should do with the customer, you will get the wrong confident but wrong answers. This is one of the cases where you have an amazing tool, but you don't have the foundation.
And in this case, was the data coming from both external and internal
Yeah.
sources. Like internal would be calls and those type of things, and
Yes.
external would be what you're scraping or finding on Crunchbase and those type of
Yes,
things.
could be. Yes.
Got it. So like, again, there's a way to solve for it, right? There's a way to solve for it where if the data from external sources, internal sources conflict, maybe rely more on the ground truth, which is your internal data and what your champions are telling you or
Yeah.
those type of things. But yeah, I see how having wrong data can definitely be
Sometimes the
detrimental
internal
to
data,
expanding accounts.
the internal data will be the wrong one because you don't have the foundation. You didn't enable the team enough how to form EBDO, what are the questions that need to be asked. Exactly like the
Right.
remember MEDDPICC scenario, when people understand
Yeah.
the framework, they understand the methodology, they know exactly what question need to be asked in order to surface the right answer with AI. Here, even though we enable the team and how to form EBDO, sometimes we see gaps because it's complex. It's complex. It's
Sure.
relying on data that is not accessible for them some of the time. It's complex, and we definitely need to improve that, even though the tool is amazing as a tool.
So again, that just shows that you guys are experimenting a lot with AI. When you launch new campaigns, you see some success. In other cases, you see failures, and then you roll it back and improve it.
Yes, 100%. And we're doing that all the time. This is an amazing process. So just to summarize, I think that I say that a lot today. It's really AI amplifies what's already there. If you have a well-defined process, strategy, and infrastructure, it will really accelerate your success. If you don't have it, accelerate the mess and the chaos. And I think that as RevOps, we need to be exactly in those discussions to understand what is the right timing, what is the right tool to answer question as build or buy, to make sure we have the strategy in place, that the process is clear, that we know exactly what we would like to achieve, to understand what is the correct tool for us, what we're trying to solve, what would be the best way. This is exactly the question we need to address. And I think that we play an important role in the AI era. This is an amazing opportunity to really help the go-to-market to define the strategy, the processes, the way the data should be structured in the systems, and then really support the way we implement AI. And I think like this is the summary of everything. As long as we have a
Makes
strong
sense.
foundation, we are unstoppable. And if we don't have it, it can be a chaos. It can really help you and support you in some of the stuff, but it will be less reliable. And you need to do it very carefully if you don't have the data in place and the process well defined. So it's an
Right.
amazing opportunity.
So basically,
Also something that you need to really take it.
right. I like that. What you're saying is AI accelerates things, and it can accelerate things in the right direction, but also in the wrong direction.
Exactly.
And so in order to avoid the pitfalls, a very clear and structured strategy that's upstream. And there's always going to be initiatives that don't perform the way you want, but that's also part of the process and you can roll back. But basically the key cornerstone is making sure you have a good foundation, a good strategy, and then you implement the tool. It's interesting. I understand what you're saying when you said that most of these tools end up doing a lot of the same things. It's true that if you look at all the competitors, they're coming from different sides of the market. One came from call intelligence or call recorder with Gong, and then others came in as a CRM, but they're slowly growing into monsters that do all these different things.
Yeah.
And it's true that at the end of the day, especially when you're in the enterprise B2B world, you need a strong tool that's reliable. And there are a lot out there. But I'm also glad to hear that you're using tools like Clay, because Clay is a tool that's also super adjustable, that's super flexible, that can integrate with so many things. So you can still play around with these newer tools and bake them into the processes of these more legacy solutions like Salesforce to see the big benefits of AI. So very cool. Listen, Shir, this has been super, super interesting, really eye-opening. I appreciate all the insights that you shared and examples you provided. Where can people find out more about you? Is it on LinkedIn? Is that where people should look for you?
I don't have a podcast yet like you. Maybe I need to have one
soon.
For now. LinkedIn would be great.
It's really great to have you on. And I know that you've been scaling these systems in really large organizations. And so I think it's helpful because this podcast is for founders or folks in high growth GTM roles. And so getting that perspective from someone like you is always super helpful.
Charles, thank you.
Thank you so much.